to use a few different Google Forms in order to track IEP goals and behaviors in the classroom, these are a few that I have set up. For our just basic IEP goal monitoring, this is one that I would use. This is just basically the teacher's like editing view where you can add the different options. I use drop-down boxes because then you can preload the goal numbers, the goal names, the criteria. You can preload these, so then when it comes time to enter them, I'll show you the preview. Let's say criteria 9 out of 10. This is where you can 8. So then when you come here, you don't have to type each time. It's a lot easier during the school year. Then you just click and it enters it instead of having to type it each time you come into entering your goal monitoring. So it requires a little bit of front loading, but then during the school year when you're really busy, it's all there for you. And also if somebody else is entering some information, maybe you're in a co-teach situation and the gen ed teacher is entering some information for you, or maybe in a teaching assistant, they can also access this easily without even the IEP in front of you, and they can just quickly enter it for you. This is a form that I use for frequency tracking. Let me scroll to the top, I apologize. I just put the student name, grade, the year, the adult filling it out, the target behavior or IEP goal, and I have multiple, I have multiple of these set up, so I can enter many of the data tracking points in here. So the date, the activity task that they were completing, the duration, the time that this happened, the number of occurrences, and any anecdotal notes that you'd like to complete. And then after this section, it continues to the next section. And I set up a whole bunch of these, so when I'm entering my information, I can just add a whole bunch of the data points. So when it can be pushed to the Google Sheet, I can just enter a whole bunch of data at once. Another Google form I have set up is the duration sheet. So again, student name, grade, year, the adult filling it out, the target, behavior, IEP. Here also you can, instead of doing a log answer, you could change it to a drop down or a checkbox, multiple choice. I like the drop down. It's nicer when you see it on the other end. This is again the editing version. So when it's when you're actually utilizing it, it's a lot easier to use when you just drop down and you can scroll through the different options. And again, this is so you have 21 different sections, so it basically repeats itself 21 times. If you wanted to only create 10 sections, it depends on how many points you think you'd collect during a day. I would suggest putting that many sections in during fear. If you know you're only going to collect 12 points throughout the day, only create 12 sections, and then you know you won't have too many sections in your form. For discrete trials, here's the form I would use for discrete trials. You would put those students' name here, and then this would be that student's form. And then you could come in here and click on here, the date. They would add the date here, and then you could say 100%, 90%. You could click on what percentage the discrete child was. And just basic prompting. Name, date. You could do a short answer, or if you know what your activities are ahead of time, maybe multiple choice or drop down. And then here, whatever prompts you use, you can place in here. And you can do check boxes or multiple drop down boxes. And I always like a little note section because I always like the anecdotal notes. And then it just repeats itself. You can just have one section if you'd like. I like to enter a whole bunch of information at once, kind of at the end of the day. You can do this for multiple students if you'd like. You could have a name section here, and then when it kicks it to the response sheet, you can just sort it by name as well. So you can just have one basic prompting sheet and have each section have a name area, and then when it puts it into the response Google Sheet, you can always sort it by name as well. So you'll just have one basic prompting Google Sheet, and you can always just copy and paste and sort the information from there too. So these are just some of the forms I use in the special ed setting that uses Google Forms and Google Sheets.